it, and then you'll come on, just tell me if you need me to stall. So,
I'm good.
all righty. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ. Actually, this isn't Chef AJ Live anymore. We call the show Chef AJ and Friends now, but it is live. And I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Dr. Matt Lederman, who has joined me every time I come on and talk about the C word. I try not to have my whole existence and shows be about that, but I know that many people like to know an update. So if you want the most up-to-date updates, just subscribe at chefaj.com. We try not to send too many emails, but we do send one every Sunday that's specifically a comprehensive email written by me about how I'm doing. And that is probably the best way to get minute to minute information. But when something big happens, like like a lung biopsy or a PET scan or a CAT scan, then I will come on and tell you about the results, which I will reveal with the help of Dr. Matt Lederman. But before I do, I have some thank yous. We always start the show with the thank yous of the gifts. And by the way, these gifts are wonderful, and I do appreciate them from the bottom of my heart that you are thinking of me and sending them to me. But please don't feel like you have to send me anything. The best gift you could give me is just keeping me in your thoughts and prayers and sending your love. Honestly, if you wanted to contribute other than that, then what I would suggest is consider joining my new community, Chef AJ and Friends, because that would not only will allow me to keep working and pay for my cancer treatment, but also give back. It's not like doing a GoFundMe. I'm giving what I think is some terrific content in this community with these weekly lives, access to every course I've ever had, and we can interact like this, face to face. Well, not like this. This isn't face to face, but I'm face to face with Dr. Matt Lederman. But we can see each other and have really deeper and more meaningful discussions than just looking at a name that's probably not even your name on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. So while Matt's waiting to come on, I want to just thank a few people for gifts. So this is from her name is Elaine, but I call her Elaine. I've always pronounced it even though it's E. And she's my oldest friend. We met on September 15th, 2011, and we are still friends. And she got me this beautiful mug that says, Chef AJ, making the world a better place since 1960. Thanks for announcing my age, Elaine. Elaine, I know how to say it. When I think of Elaine, I think of Elaine, remember in The Graduate? So I always call her Elaine. And she also got me this beautiful, I'm not sure what you call it, but it's hanging on my window. And it says, it takes a long time to grow an old friend. So we've been friends since 1971. I've been friends with Elaine longer than I've been vegan. So if you add 47 to 6, that's like 50, 53 years. We're going to be coming up on our 40th high school reunion soon. So Joanne Kong, who's been on the show before, she's a wonderful plant-based author, cute little bag. But what's in the bag? Well, thousands of dollars. No, this stone, it's a quartz, it's smoky quartz, but what's significant about it is it apparently has certain healing properties specific to my situation. So I've actually been just wearing it in my bra because I'll do anything. That's what happens when you got cancer. You pretty much, not, I won't say everybody, but you pretty much are willing to try just about everything. And then we have this beautiful book from Teresa Passy, who gave me also another book that she wrote, because she wrote this Give Me Fives, a wellness tracker, which you can get on Amazon. She's the one that gave me the plant-based coloring book that I actually bought for Matt's wife, Alona, because it was so cool, because it's an adult coloring book, fruits and vegetables and pens. This is very pretty. Thank you. And Judy made these gifts. These are really cool. If you haven't seen these, I learned about these when I lived in the desert. These are these are for the microwave. And yes, I do microwave. I don't cook in the microwave, but I do reheat food in the microwave. And of course I do it in glass, but glass gets really hot. And so these come in different sizes, but I love it. She made these, and look at the cute material she used. Dogs on one side, paw prints on the other, chili peppers. These are actually reversible. And so you take your whatever you're microwaving, like in Charles's case, we had some black bean mushroom chili in the glass thing. And then when you take it out of the microwave, you can just take it out like this. So very cute. And she made me a couple of pillowcases in some of my favorite characters. Look at this. I didn't even know they had Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Woodstock material. So these are homemade pillowcases. And then another one is also adorable. I love colors. I love pets. So look at that right there. And I got one more. So the beautiful handmade healing quilt from Karen Lance, who also wrote a book. but look at this. This is gorgeous. It's kind of almost like a mandala. So look at that. The artistry that some people have. So hopefully I didn't forget anything. Oh, I did forget one thing. A lot of times I get gifts, especially from Amazon. It doesn't say who it's from. No matter how hard I try, I can't get them to tell me who it is from. That's just the way they work. So if you have not had a gift acknowledged by a personal handwritten thank you note, please write help@chefaj.com. Tell me what you sent, and we would appreciate that so much. I got this cool thing. I wasn't sure what it was at first, and this is from Debbie, but again, it came from Amazon. So Debbie, I can't send you a thank you unless you tell me your address. So it's this bag of ice cream cones. And at first I thought that actually you ate them. I thought it was actually food because they're so realistic, but they're plastic. And then I wasn't sure what they were, and they could be toys or decorations. But Tom Kramer, who was over for dinner recently, said, no, you can actually use these. So we make cones now in the Ninja Creamy because we have the swirl. And when you take an ice cream cone, you know how sometimes the tip of it, it's like a little open and it drips? You put this on it, it fits perfectly. So that is ingenious. So I don't think I forgot anything. And if I did, it's not here, and we'll catch you next time. So, oh, a gift. This is a gift I gave myself. So I'm not a big jewelry person. I certainly don't buy jewelry or expensive jewelry, but I saw this heart, and it's not just that it's really pretty, but what drew me to it really was the other side, which says, trust your journey. And I feel if I'm going to get through this, I'm going to have to trust the journey, because the journey has not been going the way I had hoped or according to plan. I really thought, I just get a couple of Keytruda treatments and it'd be like, I'm done, no evidence of disease. Guess what? It didn't work that way. So while it's not bad news, it's not, for me, I feel like it's also not good news. And it's, for me, I'm discouraged, but I'll have Dr. Matt Lederman here to explain why there is still hope. Please welcome him to the show.
Hey AJ, how you doing? This is
Hi.
hard for you, huh?
Yeah, I'm not doing great, to be honest, and that's why I try to not come online when I'm not doing great. But if you ask me how I'm really doing, I'm not really doing very well. I guess I can say what my mom always says. I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in, but it's been really hard since April 2nd when I developed pancreatitis, because even if I didn't have the lung cancer to deal with, anybody out there that's had it can agree, and even doctors that haven't had it but have treated patients with it, it's really one of the most painful and debilitating conditions you can ever have. And unless you've had it, like I don't think most people think about their pancreas very much, because it does what it does silently, valiantly. And I'm doing a lot better pain-wise. It's not completely gone, but it's still there. And I don't know when I'm going to get, it's like I get this, it almost, when it flares, it feels like somebody's sticking a knife in my ribs and just kind of like going, but it's much better. I didn't treat it in the hospital, which is what I probably should have done, except my anxiety did not allow me to go to the emergency room. And the doctor, even though she could have, refused to do what's called a direct admission. And I just couldn't see myself going there and sitting there 6 hours. So I did the treatment at home, which, as you know, is NPO, and I was able to do that 6 days. And so when I don't eat, obviously my weight goes down, and it's like they want me to gain weight so I can have cancer treatment, but like the treatment of what I have is like no food. And then when you start eating, then the next food is broth, which basically has no calories. And then it's cream of rice, which still has no calories. And then it's like, okay, you can eat your regular diet, just don't eat any fat. And it's like, how am I going to keep? There's no way to keep. I mean, I wish Dr. McDougall was alive so I can tell him that the fat you eat is the fat you wear is true, because it's very, very hard to gain weight without fat. I mean, I can try eating a lot of dried carbohydrates, which I've been doing, the granola, lots of gluten-free bread. But the other thing that's hard is I don't have an appetite. And I don't know if that's psychological, because I'm just so stressed and anxious about my future, or because there's something with cancer that just causes me not to be hungry. And so that's why I'm so grateful for the sandwich that I have showed on the show from the Auburn Bodega. And I tell the guy every week when I get it, because like that excites me. Like that particular sandwich, which I have a video called "The Best Sandwich I Ever Ate," the best vegan sandwich I ever ate, and the best sandwich. Like that thrills me. Like even though he's taking the avocado off it now, it's this like party in my mouth kind of thing. So things have to kind of taste pretty good. And let me tell you, cream of rice does not taste good without salt. And that's another trick. And we talked about, whether or not I should be adding salt to my diet, Dr. Matt. And I will tell you that Dr. Goldhammer's right. It is an appetite stimulant because it's like if you don't feel like eating, it does make it easier to eat food. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll eat more food. I mean, even McDougall would say that all the time, but you'll eat more food if you salt it.
Yeah. So I've been
So,
trying to do that. I don't cook with it. I don't create recipes with it, but I find if I sprinkle it on the top, it makes it, it does stimulate the appetite somehow.
right. Yeah. It just makes it easier to put, eat more, eat beyond satiety.
Absolutely. And salt with fat especially, but I ain't having any of that right now. So I'm not a doctor, so I didn't know how to interpret the results. So I was looking at the PET scan, just that the fact that the tumor has not decreased in size. And
Hmm.
so for me, I thought that was a failure because I was like, okay, I'm going to do the treatments. I'm going to be one of these, stories, do a few treatments, and then I'm done. It didn't work that way. But according to you and according to some of our friends that are in the cancer space and according to the oncologist, that it's not only not hopeless, but that it's hopeful because even though the tumor and the metastases that I have not shrunk in size since, I guess, October of 2024, they haven't grown. And when cancer hasn't grown, that's good. So they say I'm stable, but actually I really actually feel like I'm pretty unstable mentally. But they say that my cancer is stable, that there's been no progression. But there's some number that maybe you can explain to the viewers that I don't understand called the SUV. I think of an SUV as like a car that apparently has been going down. And if my understanding is correct, that measures the metabolic activity of cancer so that even if it's the same size, it's less active, and that's good. And sometimes the shrinkage comes later or even not at all, but we don't really care if it shrinks if this number's going down. So did I say that somewhat correctly?
Yeah, so SUV is determining the metabolic activity. So how hungry or how active the tumor is. And as the cells start to die, it's going to use less glucose to run. And that's what's going to be measured in the PET scan. So when you have a lower SUV, you basically see that the tumor is not active or not working or not running as well. It's starting to die. So your SUV dropped, and even though the size is the same, there's two things here that I think about with cancer. One is your cancer grew. But I'm going to pull up here. So in October, or before, what was it? In April of 23, the tumor was in that 13 to 15 millimeters, if I remember correctly, and then
Yeah,
it slowly started to grow. And
yeah,
then there was a period where it didn't grow, and then it grew quicker. And we said, oh, that's when we really wanted, and that's when you saw the metastases to the lymph node. And you said, and that's where we said, okay, this tumor now, when McDougall was working with you, it was growing very slowly. And that's why he was saying, hey, this is not something to worry about because there's different types of cancer. There's cancer that grows fast, there's cancer that grows very slow, and there's actually cancer that just eventually goes away on its own. So you had the kind that was slow, and then we got a little more nervous because it was growing a little faster. Is that your understanding too, AJ?
right. And my understanding was is it started at 14. It was just eking along and not doing anything. And then that October of 2024 CAT scan showed that it had now almost doubled to, I believe, 28. And that's when it showed a metastases. And that's when I got worried. But also what people have to realize is at 14, it wasn't large enough to biopsy. The interventional radiologist said, I'm not going to get it. So, it wasn't like I didn't want it either. I was scared, but he even said, I don't think I would have been able to get it at 14, but he, was
Right.
able to get it at 28. And still I got a pneumothorax even then.
Right. So the cancer size was about 21 millimeters in October, and when they saw the metastases, and they had the SUV that was around 18. And then then in January, the SUV came down a little bit and it didn't grow. So remember, that's when you started doing a lot of the emotional work, and you were starting to you just made some different changes, but and you started doing a couple of different supplements and things like that. And then in January, or shortly after, you started the Keytruda. And remember, the Keytruda is different than chemotherapy. Chemotherapy will often shrink tumors quickly, and it's sort of like a bomb going off and sort of destroying the cells, and it will show shrinkage of tumors often, but that is not necessarily killing all of the cancer that's spread throughout your body. It's just not, it doesn't work very well. It's like a big bull in a china shop. The Keytruda that you got, AJ, is something that makes the cancer cells more visible to your immune system so that your body can attack the cancer in a way that it couldn't before, because the cancer was it was disguising itself so that it couldn't be seen by your immune system. So it works differently than chemo, AJ. It's not going to shrink the tumor the way chemo will, but it's very effective at having your immune system attack cancer cells anywhere in your body. And we know that it's working. Your immune system is revved up right now. And what the good news is that the cancer hasn't grown. So remember, it was growing somewhat quickly and then it stopped. And then on top of that, the SUV came down probably 40%. So it's 40% less active, meaning that your immune system is starting to really beat this thing up only after three treatments, right? Right, AJ? Three Keytruda
I've
treatments?
had three, yeah, and people are asking what that is. So Keytruda is an infusion. The way chemotherapy is, it's just not chemo. It's done through intravenously over a period of time, just like an IV. So
Yes.
it's
And
called a chemotherapy. Yeah.
that's the medicine that makes your tumor no longer able to hide from your immune system. So your body is now attacking that. Your immune system is revved up and it's attacking this tumor. And what's promising is that it's dropped the SUV from its highest number about 40%, and from the last scan, about 25-ish%. And with Keytruda, because there's immune systems attacking it, sometimes the tumor can actually look a little bigger because there's immune system cells and all sorts of stuff that's happening in the tumor that doesn't mean that the tumor is actually growing. So the fact that your tumor isn't growing when it was growing is really great. In fact, I think I told you this on the phone. If the tumor never goes away, but it never grows again, we're all happy as well. So I know there was this wish that in three treatments, which is not even a full course of treatment, you still need another a half of the treatment cycle, right?
Right. And I'm scheduled for three more, but I have, and I don't know if I told you this since we talked, because I just talked to my doctor at True North and he said I should not keep getting treatments while my pancreas is still inflamed. So I canceled Tuesday's treatment and we're going to wait until the next one. We're just pushing it out just a little farther to give me a little bit more time to heal.
Yeah, and I think that's the balance with cancer treatment in general, is the impact on the body and your whatever feels right for you. There's a risk benefit ratio that you're always trying to guess at, and the science can give you some hints towards what might be a good idea, but in the end, you have to do what feels right to you. And some of the doctors were very supportive of saying, "Hey, you got this last treatment, and you did okay, even though your pancreas was a little bit inflamed." And then some people would say, "Hey, let's hold off." And I think you got to do what feels right to you. And it sounds like waiting and giving yourself a little more time is the right move for you.
Yeah, I think so too, because I really felt like I was rushed into the third treatment, partly because I just want to get this over with. And, the thing is you can't always get into your doctor or talk to them when you want. And then my GI doctor, Dr. Nedley, my local doctor here, says I would have told you not to do the third treatment while you still had it. And I know I have it because the PET scan shows that I have an inflamed pancreas, because the pancreatologist at Stanford didn't even like believe me. It's so weird. Like, and I mean, now he does, but he's like, well, you can have pain there for other reasons. You can have high lipase for other reasons. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's I don't know what he was thinking, but uh, waiting. There's pros and cons to waiting. There's pros and cons to moving forward. There's, bad pancreatitis can be very dangerous. So this is not easy. And I think that's the weight that you're feeling, which is just like no matter what road you go down, it's not an easy, clear path right now.
Yeah, and then whatever, just I just wish people would, if you want to support me, then don't beat me up because you don't like my choice. Because I'm doing the best I can. And I can't do everything everybody wants because there's not enough hours and minutes in the days or years left to do every single treatment that everyone has suggested. So please don't take it personally if I didn't choose your treatment, because I'm doing the best I can to keep it together here with a sick dog and a husband that has some things. And it's not been easy. But what I wanted to tell you is Dr. Mayal said, that's my wonderful oncologist at Stanford, that if I would be willing to go right into radiation, I could stop the Keytruda. Now, when he says go right into, that doesn't mean tomorrow because, things have to be set up. And he says it can take several weeks to get it set up. And also, you have to be off Keytruda for a little bit to go into radiation. And that he would like to see me do that. And I didn't say completely no. I didn't say yes. I do have an appointment with the radiation oncologist at UCSD, a wonderful man named Dr. James Urbanek, who I've been seeing just for a couple of years now because he was referred to me early on for radiation. And I liked him. I just didn't want to get it because I worried so much that with the tumor being a millimeter from the aorta, how are they going to shoot that and not get my heart and not get my aorta? So the thing about radiation is, I mean, the good thing is that I can stop the infusions because Dr. Mayal said that sometimes people have to be on Keytruda for like 2 years. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'll just here's the thing. I'm like, I guess I'm in denial, Dr. Matt, because I'm thinking like, this isn't so bad. I'll just do a few treatments and it didn't work that way. It's how it was in my mind. And that's what I was actually visualizing. The thing about radiation is I would have to live somewhere else for a while. It's not just commuting to Stanford every 3, 4, or 5 weeks. It would be either at Stanford or UCSD. I would have to move there, preferably with my family, and live somewhere else and find a place to live for an entire month. And the course of radiation would be for 4 weeks every day, and they don't do it on the weekends. So that's another conversation we can have after talking to the rad onc on Tuesday. But to me, it sounds very scary. It doesn't sound like it's going to necessarily hurt, but it just sounds like, I said to them, I said, I don't understand that if you say that I have cancer already in my blood based on these tests, how it's going to even help getting rid of the tumor. And Dr. Mayal said, if I'm remembering this correctly, that it's not so much that I have metastases in my blood, but that when the cells die off, they show up as like the DNA. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I think you do have all sorts of cells floating around in your blood and your body, and we're not necessarily able to see them, and your immune system is fighting them. And I'd be curious why they think the radiation is going to help. Some people believe that if you kill they call it the mothership, it's going to help your body with cancer burden and load and seeding the rest of your body. And that all sounds good, but the data on radiation making people live longer is not clear to me. So we're going to ask this doctor for people, for his, data saying that this is actually going to affect overall mortality. And they might say, we don't have, because everything you're doing is a little bit outside the box. You're not getting the surgery, you're not doing conventional chemo. And a lot of the data is not designed to make the best health decisions for you. It's designed to sell drugs and treatments. And I think that makes it challenging for you. And we have to take the doctor's best guess and then make a decision that works for you.
Yeah, the thing, my understanding, like if you're having symptoms, like there are people that, and then again, I am not admonishing anyone that picks any, I mean, it's so easy to be judgmental until
Right.
it happens to you and to say, oh, I would never, I love all these people who say, well, I would never do anything she's doing. I'm not saying just wait. I hope you never have to go through this or a loved one, but it's very easy to say that. But I've talked to a bunch of people that have had radiation, and my understanding is that when it's really warranted is when the tumor is so large that it's encroaching on
Yes.
something where maybe it's causing pain in a certain area of the body
Right.
or breathing. And I have not had a single symptom of cancer or lung cancer. The first 2.5 years before I even came out to the public with it, the only symptom I had was worsening anxiety. And so I did have some weight loss and hair loss, but that happened in the first month. That wasn't cancer. That was telogen effluvian and stress. And I haven't had any lung cancer symptoms whatsoever. But now, because the treatment is giving me symptoms, it's like I don't like it anymore and I don't want it anymore. And, I thought maybe foolishly that what I was picking, because of course everything was offered to me. Like even before they did the biopsy that proved it was cancer, they were like, oh, we'll just take out your whole left lower lung, left lower lobe. I would lose the whole lobe, but I wouldn't be able to just get the tumor. There were no clear margins. And if it's not cancer, aren't you going to be happy anyway? I'm like, no, I'm not going to be happy if you took my lung out and it wasn't cancer. And then they said the same thing. Well, we don't know if it's cancer, but we'll radiate it. And aren't you going to be happy? It'll be shrunk. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to do treatment if I don't know what it is. Now, the thing is with medical oncologists, that's at least they don't do chemo without proof. You know what I mean? They don't do chemo or immunotherapy without, some kind of proof and biopsy. And when I got that, everything was offered. Actually, the first oncologist I had was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the chemo and then we're going to shrink the tumor and then we're going to do the and like, no, I don't want any of that. And I feel, having talked to literally hundreds of people now with lung cancer of various stages that have had all of those treatments, even some have had all four. Just talking to them, everyone, when I say worse, I don't mean worse like worse outcomes. I mean worse pain and worse recovery, is that surgery is the hardest. I don't know anybody that had their lung taken out and said, boy, this was a piece of kale. They're happy they did it, but they said it was really tough. It was really painful. Months later, they still have pain. They can't sleep. And I was worried because of my allergies to drugs and previous stopping breathing from general anesthesia that surgery would be the worst thing. So I kind of like just never wanted that. And Dr. McDougall agreed like that wouldn't have even helped. As far as chemo is concerned, everything I've read about it, like books like The Emperor of All Maladies, it doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't help people, or it just sounded like, being as medically sensitive as I am, that it would just be so hard for me. And the people that I see in my groups that are on it, it doesn't seem like it's easy for most people. So I put that away. Radiation on paper doesn't sound terrible because it's kind of like Star Wars-ish. You just lay there and they shoot you, but it supposedly doesn't hurt. It didn't sound terrible until they told me what the side effects are. And this is the interesting thing, Dr. Matt, is I haven't had television since 2018, and that's a good thing because that means I can't watch the news. But the night before my third Keytruda treatment, that would have been April 21st, we were in a hotel paid for by the American Cancer Society. Thank you. And I'm flipping around watching Shark Tank, and there's a commercial. It's the first time I saw a Keytruda commercial. And I'm watching it, and they go, and side effects can include, and there's like 100 things, and death. And I'm thinking, like, nobody told me this, that Keytruda could cause death. Like if I had seen that commercial, I don't think I would have had treatment one or two, And so with radiation, there's just so, and especially where it's so close, there can be permanent swallowing issues. You can have heart damage. You might need open heart surgery. There's just heart I like, even though the guy that I'm talking to on Tuesday, that hopefully you can be there for that call, has done this, I don't know, like 20 or 30 years and said he hasn't seen it happen. I seem to be the one that gets a side effect. Dr. Mayal said that I'm the first person he knows that's got pancreatitis from it. So it all sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, it's so much to hold. And it's AJ, I think you said it well when the people are judging you to say, hey, put yourselves you can't judge until they're in your shot, in your spot, in your shoes. And the radiation, like you said, that's when I've heard it and seen it most effective, is when there's something obstructive and it's good at shrinking a tumor to stop it from pressing on something else. But as far as since you don't have the symptoms, we got to learn from this oncologist why he thinks that is going to make your life better or make you live longer. Those are the two markers I'm looking for. It improves quality of life or quantity of life in a
Right.
meaningful way.
I hope you can be their doctor to doctor to ask him that. But I mean, the one good thing about it is they sound like then I'm done and I don't have to have surgery. One of the things for radiation, my understanding, because I have a friend who had lung cancer and she didn't want surgery. She got the radiation and she's doing very well. And is for radiation is often used for people that cannot have surgery for whatever reason or don't want it. And so they're making it sound like if I'll do the radiation, I could be done. And that would be nice if I had some guarantees. The thing is I thought Keytruda of all the choices was like the absolute gentlest. And so, you know, oh boy, so I
It's,
finally, oh, go ahead.
I would say I mean, it's still a serious medication. It's not like eating, fruits and vegetables. And we're hoping that the benefit outweighs the harm. And it looks like so far it is, but it's not an easy ride.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I can't, because my moderator unfortunately isn't here, I can't probably get to a lot of the questions in the chat, and I'll do try, but even people are saying, well, you should do this. See, should is a word that we should remove from our vocabulary because, when people say, if I were you, I would do this. No, you would do exactly what I'm doing because you would be me. And the thing is people are saying, like, oh, if you did this, your cancer would be gone by now. Really? 100, because if that's true, then why not in 100% of the cases is everybody not doing that? And we're not going to talk about this right now. Dr. Matt will come on in the future if I do it, but a lot of the cancer doctors have told me about some, I don't know what exactly to say it, like I don't want to say controversial treatment or some kind of other adjunctive treatment, which I may or may not consider. It's in Tennessee. So if anybody lives near Knoxville, maybe I could stay with you. No, I'm kidding. I can get put up there. But I don't want to, excuse my language, but there's a saying, if you throw enough shit against the wall, something's going to stick. And so what we're trying to do with this lung cancer is throw a lot of stuff in it and hope that something will work or the combination. And so if I do this, let's call it alternative treatment, it's not instead of. I feel, at least for now, I'm going to continue this, but I am taking a break. So instead of having the treatment in 4 weeks, which is what it was going to be, I'm going to do it in 8 weeks and hope that my pancreas really, really calms down because I'd rather go into it with no pain. The other thing I didn't mention is because obviously if I'm on YouTube, I'm going to put on a little makeup and do my hair and try to have a smile, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing okay on the inside, because what kind of show would it be if every time I just sat here and cried? Unless if you want to see that, then I'll go live every day. But the thing is this, I don't know if it's a side effect so much of the Keytruda or the fact that I have had so much pain for so long, and I didn't even take a Tylenol. I mean, I was given opiates. I haven't taken anything for it, but pain is exhausting. And so really, I would say that there's only been 2 days since April 1st that I didn't have to go back to bed. I'm drained emotionally and physically. And I don't know if that is a side effect of the Keytruda, but I think it's also a side effect of the pain. And so I also have to balance quality of life because one of the nice things about my oncologist, the one I have now, is he doesn't say scary stuff to me like some of the other ones, which just sends me down like such a rabbit hole of despair. He sometimes says a little bit of percentages that people that do this and this have this percentage. But again, nobody knows how a person is going to respond. But I said, look, the quality of my life is more important than the length. And if I'm going to be sick all the time, I'm not sure I want to do this. Now, if I know that eventually I'm going to feel better, I think I could sign up for more. I don't know if radiation has these kind of side effects. I mean, some people say you get, is it diarrhea or tired? But I always feel like I'm the one that's going to get that side effect. And so I don't know if that's a self-fulfilling prophecy or just true because of my genetic makeup. My sister's the same way. We're like the princess and the pea. We always get something. Somebody's saying marijuana. I haven't looked into, CBD or cannabis. I actually should probably ask about that. But I don't want to live my life on pain medicine or an altered state. So I don't know much about CBD. Do you, Dr. Matt?
And the question is like you said, what is the goal? Like you said, you could undergo some discomfort if you knew that long term it was going to really make a difference. And it's like, how do you measure that? How do you know? How do you decide? Also, I don't think people who don't deal with chronic pain realize how miserable it is to chronically have something that's just always hurting, always nagging, always gnawing at you. It's exhausting. It's irritating. It's the fact that you can't eat the way you want, and if you do, it's uncomfortable or even painful. I mean, it's just miserable, and it's easy enough from a distance to say, oh, just suck it up, just do it. And it's a totally different thing to be in it. And
Yeah.
there are problems with radiation. You can get inflammation of the lung area. You can get, fibrosis and scarring. It can cause issues with the heart. There's you can get other cancers as a result of that. You can get like strictures and ulcerations in your esophagus. Like nothing is benign, the treatments. That's why you really got to make sure the benefit outweighs the risk. But more importantly, is we have to listen to you, AJ. We got to check in with you and say, it doesn't matter what the data shows. What feels right to you after hearing all of this? And I think that sometimes people forget to do that.
Yeah. I feel like, working on my emotional well-being is the most important thing right now because I can't control what's happening with the other side effects. And so I've started going to I don't want to get religious here because it's not, I've started going to a place where I can pray and worship every week. I don't want to get into denominations or whatever because opens up a whole thing. But I find that very comforting, and Charles is going with me. And this particular place that I go has a hands-on prayer healing every week. And I've gone for 3 weeks. And even if even if it does nothing, and I don't believe it does nothing because there are people there that are giving testimonials that it does do something, is very comforting. And that's the other thing. Oh, this was a really hard decision. So I had been referred to palliative care a while back, and my understanding is palliative care was hospice care. Like you go to a palliative care doctor because you're going to die, and they just help you for that. But then I have a friend who says, no, 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 that they help you manage the symptoms of the cancer treatment. So in a way, the palliative care doctor is your pal. And so the guy I went to is my first Jewish doctor since moving up here. Really, really nice guy. Spent an hour and 10 minutes just listening to me. And that can make a big difference because they're so rushed in medicine now that your appointments with your doctors, especially on colleges, not the one I have, Stanford's different. I get a full half hour. Actually, I've had up to 90 minutes with him, but the way it was at Sutter is like 5 minutes, and it's like, okay, we got to get you into treatment. So just having somebody listen is very, very helpful. And it's been nice to having him on the team, just because maybe he can think of things, because he sees a lot of people with not just cancer but what we call chronic disease, and so he might have some ideas.
Yeah, palliative care is great. It's not about, you know, putting someone out and getting them ready to die. It's about palliating and easing pain and discomfort. So I'm glad you're connecting with them and seeing that it's not about getting ready to die.
Yeah, and just too many doctors, though. I mean,
That's for
like
sure.
Dr. McDougall used to say, you don't want to have doctors as your friends. I mean, but it's like, it's crazy. Like I think about how sick my mom was growing up with, heart disease and dementia. And it's like all she did was go to the doctor. And that's kind of been, since it's kind of been my life. And I just want to have fun. I will say this, and this is how you know I'm a good actress. No matter how sick I have felt, I never miss improv. I mean, I don't care. I could be dying and I'll miss my cancer support group. I have missed medical appointments, but I drag my butt out of bed. I don't know if you're watching, Patrick. I do not miss a chance to go to comedy class ever. Because to me, like that is the highlight. Like that's better than any pain medicine, if you ask me.
That's you got your priorities straight.
That's right. And I
Exactly.
miss you
Exactly.
in Friday class. It's just, I don't want to guilt you, but it's just not as fun without you. I'll tell you.
Ah,
It's just
ah.
not quite as fun without you and Mark together, but I'm still not going to miss. And if you guys join my Chef AJ community, Patrick's going to be in there. We can do some fun
Was
stuff.
Patrick going to do your community?
Yeah, he's going to be on June 5th. So we're going to have some fun inside join the private community, because then we can really let loose and talk about stuff we can't talk about on the general channel because it's not ready for prime time though. Yeah. So,
That's fun.
I don't think this person will be watching, but I waited so many months to be referred to something called a psycho-onc. They have this department at Stanford, but it turns out it's just one individual therapist. And I had like 1.5 sessions, and she was a perfectly lovely person, but she never had cancer, and she really didn't have any tools to offer me in addition to what every LCSW or MFT offers, which is generally CBT, not CBD, CBT. And for me, CBT doesn't help with cancer because, it already is the worst case scenario. Like with other things in life, they can do this CBT stuff on me and say, well, is it possible? It already happened. It's happening. So I need the thing I need to control the most in this whole equation is my mind. And so my job every day is to try to keep my spirits up and then keep my weight up. And those are and so that's like a full-time job here, guys. It ain't
Uh,
easy being, I'll tell you, it ain't easy being me. And then to have to watch Bailey deteriorate while because she's always been my rock and she can't, not that I expect her to help me, but she used to be my, literally I could put her on my chest and she's a shadow of her former self. And so, it's like we're both on hospice, but not really. But it's hard. Really cancer is a disease of the whole family because everybody's affected, and it's just not fun to watch people go through it or deteriorate. So I don't know how anybody goes through this. I really wish somebody would write a handbook. Maybe I should if I can get to the other side. But
yeah, but and how what I'm hearing is like how to be around grief. There's your own grief. There's watching Bailey. There's watching Charles, and then not only you watching them, but Charles watching you. And I mean, there's so much grief. And how can you get support for that in a way that is connecting and healing versus sort of stagnating it and it starts to fester or get blocked from processing through? How have you been how have you been navigating that? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I can. I don't know if I've been navigating it. I do have somebody called a trauma-informed therapist who I see every other week, and we haven't actually talked about grief yet, but I did tell her about all the fetal losses, and one of the things. Oh, the gift! Oh my gosh, how could I forget the gift? Charles, I'm so sorry. Amy and Jonathan planted 3 trees for the babies that I lost in Israel. That is such a beautiful, beautiful gift. Do you have the thing from Israel? And that was really a meaningful gift named for the babies that I lost, Rachel and Chad, and one that was not named. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to go to Rachel's Vineyard, which several viewers recommended to me. And that is how I'm going to hopefully process that grief. Yeah, thank you so much for this lovely gift of 3 trees planted in Israel. Amy and Jonathan. Jonathan
Oh,
was
wow.
stand-up class. So that's what I'm going to do there. And yeah, I'm open to stuff. I have the time to, to take courses, in person or online even now. I just haven't felt well for 6 weeks, and I've never been sick for that long. To have something that, I've had COVID, I've had things, but you're better in a few days. But this has been dragging on far too long.
Yeah, it's a long haul. It's really exhausting. It's a lot of weight. It's challenging. It's challenging. And do you have like what do you do? I mean, I think people would be interested in hearing about that when you're struggling those mornings, like you said, you're able to put on some makeup and a smile and but what have you been doing to keep yourself, your spirits supported?
So, well, the thing that brings me, like I mentioned, the thing that brings me the most joy, which is improv. I only have
Right.
2 classes a week, but now that Charles is in the class, so we'll be walking Bailey and we'll be doing improv together. And that's been really, really fun. I think that kind of keeping my routine, no matter how bad I feel has helped because it's very easy to just want to go back to bed because I'm sad, I'm depressed, and I'm also not feeling good and I'm entitled to have that rest. But I get up. This is where I'm the I am a trooper, I'll tell you that, because um except for the days where the pain was excruciating and I was NPO because I can't exercise and be NPO. That's dangerous. So any day that I had food during the whole bout of pancreatitis, I get up and I keep my routine, which is we do meditation in the morning. We are doing Joe Dispenza. Everybody's saying, do Joe. We are. I'm doing it. I'm doing the things you said. It's just not working as fast as you guys would like. And then we walk Bailey And that's when we play our little improv games. And then I get on the bike for an hour. But the expenditure, it's kind of like everybody's car has a certain amount of gallons of gas it can take, different cars. And I feel like my energy is that I'm given this much each day, and it kind of is depleted in the first part of the day. See, that's why I wonder if I should be prioritizing exercise as much, because a lot of the doctors say for cancer, you do, but that it's an hour on the spin bike. It's just, I'm kind of like, okay, I walked Bailey for an hour. I just spun for an hour. Okay, time to go to bed, you know? So that's kind of how it's been going, but I don't go to bed. That's the other thing. Cause like, I don't want to be a sick person, but I do go horizontal. So if the weather is warm enough now, I lay outside in the sun with my face covered,
Mm.
and Bailey enjoys that too. But yeah, like my mom said, the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. And so I think my energy is coming back now. And that's why I feel like delaying the treatment is good, because I'm finally starting to feel better. And it's like, oh God, now I got to do another one. You know, that seems to be the case with a lot of people on infusions. It's like they finally have a few days feeling good and then they go back to feeling bad. So I don't feel I'm putting myself at risk by extending it a few more weeks, you know, because the cancer's been there for a long time. So, and it's right now it's not growing. And when it was growing slowly, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And we start, the for grief, I think of it as growing around our grief, not trying to make the grief smaller, but we just start to grow. I mean, this is during this time period right now, especially, you're not gonna nothing's gonna change day to day specifically. So it's this longer process. Even though you want it to happen fast, like you've said, this has been already years. So there's sort of this idea of how can I grow around my grief versus the focus on trying to make the grief smaller or go away. I don't know what's your reaction when you hear that?
Well, I'm not sure exactly, because grief is something that's apparently been with me a long time, which people in the metaphysical world believe is the cause of my particular cancer, which is in the lung.
Mhm.
And it's really weird, because when I go to this group and they're touching me and praying on me, like they don't know anything about me. And
Mhm.
like, oh, I feel a lot of grief. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess I buried it for so long. I didn't know. But I feel like in a way I'm grieving
I think in Chinese medicine too, I think grief shows up in the lung. I
right.
believe I'd have to ask Alona.
And then the Mexican clinic said the same thing. I've had a few consults. Those are very expensive. Those are like $60,000 a month. They're not off the table. They're off the table now, but they said the same thing. And so I feel like if everybody's saying the same thing, so I will do things that people say. And everybody said do Rachel's Vineyard. It's just that they didn't have it until June 6th. I couldn't do it any sooner unless I learned Spanish, and that would have taken a long time to do that. And yeah, but I do wish it would go a little faster. I almost wish they could put me in a medically induced coma until it's gone and just give me all the treatments and then, wake me up when I'm better. Can I do that?
And then you'll miss improv class.
That's true. That's true. But that would be kind of cool. But it gets, I feel like I've bailed on some of my, and I don't know if they're exactly friends, because they're people that I've been on the cancer support groups. And it gets to the point where sometimes it's just like they're it's, I feel, actually, believe it or not, grateful, because as bad as I feel, because I'm only feeling my own pain, and when the pain is the worst I felt, I'm not comparing it to somebody else that actually might feel worse. But when I go to some of these groups, these people are worse. They're worse than me, and they're actually like stage 4, and there are people, and I see them, and sometimes I can be the cheerleader for them too. And I tell, what I tell people, even when I feel hopeless, I tell people don't give up hope, because you just never know. But these people are so sick, and so sometimes being in those groups brings me down when I'm already down. And so I haven't been going, and I feel a little bit guilty for that. I've been going to the one in person because that's a little bit different experience, but um I don't think people realize like how bad cancer is and how serious it is. And it doesn't, you don't just like take it's not like an infection where you take an antibiotic and it goes away. Maybe for some people it does. You hear about these stories of radical remission, but I don't think they're happening overnight either. I think just like weight loss, you see about these people with their dramatic weight loss. I think it's a process. And for whatever reason, I'm having to go through it now. And I'll tell you, I don't like it.
Yeah. There's something inside you. There's a part of you that is just like, let's be done with this. I want this to be over. I'm sick of this. It's uncomfortable. It makes sense, AJ.
Yeah. And I think about like, I don't know. So tomorrow would have been Dr. McDougall's birthday. We always did a live show on his birthday. And, I wonder if he's like, I wish I could contact him from the beyond because I don't want him, because I'm not doing what he said, which was to walk away and just don't go to the doctor anymore and don't get any more scans. And I wonder if he would be disappointed or disapproving of me for getting treatment.
Mm. You're carrying a little bit of burden and sadness just imagining if he'd be disappointed in you.
Yeah, because I know how he felt about this, and he may be right after all. You don't know, but um, I talked to Mary, and she said that he never, like, with Keytruda, he might have been okay. Like, I don't know. We can't speculate. He's not here, but um, I just wish I had never known because with OCD, like now that you know, you just want to check all the time. And I mean, like I'd have
Mhm.
a PET scan I'm being facetious because obviously I wouldn't have a PET scan every day, but it's like you say, it's like this is as crazy making as weight loss for people that have OCD that have to weigh themselves every day when we know that weight loss doesn't occur like that. Doug Lisle says how 2 ounces a day and you can't get any useful information from weighing yourself every day. It's just like with these PET scans, that's why they don't do them every day. They do them, generally not any sooner than 3 months and usually longer than 3 months.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the question is, what can you do with that nervous or impatient energy inside of you where we understand where it's coming from? It just wants some relief. It wants to feel some security about the future. But if what you're doing you think is going to give you that relief, but it really doesn't, are there other ways to give you relief right now during this waiting period? And it sounds like you're starting to find some ways to give that to you, but that's what's really challenging is to figure out how to get relief when you can't make it happen as fast as you would like.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things as an Aries. One of my things in life was, I guess, not to lose patience. I already lose patience. To learn to have patience and to more go with the flow and just accept what is. That's. I don't know if that's easy for a lot of people, but it never was for me. And one thing I want to say is. I never miss a job. I know I've been getting some feedback like, oh, I'm afraid to sign up for Rancho La Puerta. What if you're sick? What if I am sick? I'm not going to not show up. I've never not, okay, one time I had a TBI. I got hit in the head. I missed the cruise. I mean, because legally they wouldn't let me fly. But I mean, I went to my job. I mean, I was in the worst pancreatitis pain of all when I did the job in Mendocino. Any of you that were there, I don't think you even knew how sick I was. So I can put it on. I'm not going to miss Rancho, and I'm not going to miss the plant powered party. So do not worry. I mean, if I'm dead, that's the only way. If I am not dead, it could be maybe we'll do like Weekend and Bernie's, and if I am dead, we'll just have my arms like be moving.
Just, just you'll be there one way or another.
I will be there. I will be there. I will not. I take this very seriously. So my commitments in Cuca College. So. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. I don't know. I don't know what more we can say. It's just,
Yeah. Well, AJ, this is um, one of the hardest journeys somebody can go on.
I know. So
It's just,
why does it have to happen towards our end of life when we just want to relax and retire and, just sit on the beach? Like, I mean, not that it's, I mean, I can't imagine a baby going through this, which they do, or a kid. I don't imagine it ever easier, but it's like, uh, A2 cancer, that's how I feel. Like,
yeah. Well, I think that's just the human way. We think, oh, when this happens, then we'll relax, or then we'll have fun, or then and it's just this is all the more reason. What's that saying? Instead of, learn to dance in the rain instead of waiting for it to stop raining.
yeah.
And and at the same time, it's so hard,
Well, I
you
just
know?
want to thank you, Matt, so much from the bottom of my heart for being I mean, you won't take any money from me. And I mean, and not that you're my doctor, but you say doctory things to me, when I'm freaking out and I can't reach a doctor and you've helped. I mean, I didn't even ask you, you just showed up like, it's like it kind of like a play. McDougal exited, you came in, and you just have been such a dear friend and such a like you're so calm. And the work that you do and introducing me to Mark and introducing me to the other work that you're going to be doing in the community next week with Mark, the Nonviolent Communication. I just read the book and it's very good. And I just thank you so much because we've known each other a long time, but we moved to different cities and we weren't in touch. But I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you because I don't know how I'd get through this without you. I mean, because, it's just thank you so much. That's all I can tell
Oh,
you is thank you.
well, thank you for saying that, AJ. And I just, I really appreciate that. It's a absolute pleasure to help you. And you're someone that me and Alone, since I've known you, you've just been so giving. I mean, whether it's food or time or support, you have such a huge heart. And to me, the opportunity to give back to you, I jumped at the opportunity. I mean, even as something, the other day you texted me that you read our Substack article and you really liked it. And you said, hey, this really, like taking the time to do, like you just do those things. And it's something I'm working really hard on the Substacks, so, but you didn't know that. And it really brightened up my day that you said, hey, I'm reading it and it impacted me and thank you. And like those moments mean so much more than things like other things that people do is that care, that love, that support, and you do that so naturally. I mean, even when I have fears about improv or concern, like you'll get on the phone and just talk to me and support me and encourage me. So I think you give back in so many ways that I think that's why people love you so much.
Well, thank you. And you have the potential to be a great improviser and finally quit this doctor thing.
Seriously. Enough with the medicine. We're going to go into improv.
Enough with the medicine. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I can't obviously pay you in vinegar. But see that we can talk about that in the community, like the example of the nonviolent communication, how like, you because maybe the first time you didn't tell me you couldn't eat vinegar, so I sent it again. And if people don't tell people that, then they're going to be getting vinegar the rest of their life.
Stacks of vinegar
That
outside.
they can't, hopefully you gifted it to somebody.
I
And
gave it to Mark, actually.
I hope he liked it. I haven't.
I don't know. We should ask him. I never asked
It's funny because hopefully, if he didn't, he'll be honest. And
him.
otherwise,
Now,
this could go on forever
oh
for
my
sure.
God.
But
He's
yeah, the Substack article, guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to there. There will be information in the show notes on how to work privately with a Dr. Matt Lederman or his wife, Dr. Alona Pulde, and the Substack is free. But it was the one about with the returning the rental car, I especially
Mhm.
resonated with that one because I like to do the kind of things you do. And we probably won't have time to do it now because I know you have a patient. But when we do our private and there's still time to join the community and be there for what we do, we can talk about how we had that interchange. Remember where like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really helpful. Like, because that was that would I'll be able to recall it by the time we do that. But like how we had like, well, you were feeling this and I was feeling this, and that's why
Mhm.
text is the worst. The worst way to articulate how you're feeling to another human is text. It always gets misconstrued, especially if you're me doing voice to text it, because it's always misspelled and wrong anyway. So the best thing to do is what young people don't do anymore is maybe just pick up the phone and actually talk to another
Yeah,
human.
that's so true. And that to me, what's exciting, and I'm excited to talk to your community about that when we meet, is that people think that the absence of these moments of conflict are the goal. And actually, it's having those moments of conflict where they play out, and you increase your connection as a result of them, because that builds trust and deeper connection. Like I have more trust with you, AJ, and deeper connection with you because of how we navigated that versus never having that in the first place. So instead of being afraid of conflict, if you can embrace it and learn how to navigate it in a way that increases connection, to me, that's the real gold. So I think that would be fun to share because the best of relationships, if you're authentic and you're doing the best you can, you're still going to have these little messes. And it's not the absence of the mess, it's can you have the skill to clean it up?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, and that's going to be really fun to learn more of that, and also to introduce more people to Mark and how that work intersects and how it can help people not just with cancer, but just with their daily struggles. And I think everybody has something. It does, the thing about cancer though is it's like ominous, It's like it's kind of like, remember the Acme cartoons with the anvil, always falling, remember? And that's
Mhm.
what cancer kind of feels like, because there's just, I don't know if we created that in our minds, or it really is just so scary, but there's just so much uncertainty with cancer, because it's not like other diseases where there's one thing you do and it's every body reacts differently. It's like
Right.
it has a mind of its own, and so it's there's just a lot of uncertainty, and if you're a person that seeks certainty, not a great match for you, which is me. I like to know everything. I like to know what's going to happen in the movie. I've always read the last page of the book first, but I guess in my life it's not completely written yet, and so to be determined.
No, no, and that's what I hope you leave with, AJ, is that even though it wasn't necessarily what you were expecting, that I'm actually um, happy with what's happening, and not that you're feeling lousy, obviously, but I see what's happening as there's a positive impact, and we just have some bumps that we're smoothing out right now.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Dr.
Thank
Matt.
you.
And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ and Friends. Please come back next Friday at 9 a.m. when we're going to talk to Heidi Anda. She's the founder of the Lung Cancer Awareness, the White Ribbon Project, because anyone with lungs can get lung cancer, and it is the most stigmatized and underfunded of all cancers. And she is a lung cancer success story. Thank you everyone so much for your support. If you want to support me further, just please join my community. And Dr. Matt, please come back to improv, please.
Uh-huh. Thank
Please.
you, AJ.
Okay.
I appreciate it.